My name is Mary Cheney. I am the owner and managing attorney of the law offices of Mary and Cheney, PLLC, better known as the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas, and welcome to the Breach Whisperer blog. In this blog, we will be talking about privacy and cybersecurity issues worldwide. For those of you that are familiar with my written blog, this is an extension of that or replacement for it, depending on my time and my ability to record or write blog posts. So, I mean, if you guys are interested in my previous works, if you can click on the link below, and it'll take you to my law firm website where the blog posts are there. Don't forget, speaking of links, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. So I know you guys are asking me why in the world or would we want to watch anything about cybersecurity and privacy. I mean, it can be highly technical, it can be full of acronyms, it could be legalese, it can be technical terms. And, because I feel like cybersecurity and privacy are not going away. And, I want to be able to share the knowledge that I have. I mean, in this video blog, we will be trying to educate the masses on cybersecurity and privacy. So, and things that you come across on a daily basis that you may not even think about that may affect you going forward. So, we will do this through articles, excerpts of speaking events that I may do, just basically any random things that I come across and find that I'm hitting record on certain things. I think that it's very important. I have a unique perspective. I think, based on my background, I could look at things from the cybersecurity perspective, the privacy perspective, it could be the hacker or the criminal perspective, the law enforcement or investigator perspective. It's so many different things that, are happening in cybersecurity and privacy that you guys may not think about. And being an owner of my own law practice, the things that come across my desk are amazing. So be warned, I may switch hats mid-sentence. And, hopefully it's just to get you guys to think about things and in a different way. And please feel free to send me anything that you may find that you think I may find interesting. It may just make the blog. You never know. Caveat here, I'm a public speaker. I don't believe in too many edits. If I mess up, I mess up. So let's get started on your privacy and cybersecurity journey. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the blog today. I read this very interesting article. The FBI put out a warning to private industry that hackers are targeting specifically supply chain software providers. So basically, software providers that provide software to these different types of industries. So, think I don't know, Adobe, think whatever. I mean, whatever the type of software that you actually are purchasing to actually run your systems, the software provider that's actually providing you with that is now a target. So you see that all the time. Another third party supply chain type of provider that's being targeted. I mean, you see lawyers being targeted, law firms being targeted as well, just because it's just another way to get in. So, the commercial off the shelf software that most of us go to Best Buy and or wherever we go to purchase our software is different. And even when I was investigating cases way back when in the FBI, counterfeit software was huge back then, right? And so being able to attack or to get into a software provider to actually put a piece of malware on that software and then ship it off to your target, which is this company, is fascinating because it once again shows that the gaps and the holes that could exist as a company is trying to get up and running and be running. And software, I mean, well, third party providers are, of course, they have access, and generally speaking, and the software, specifically with software, people install software without even thinking about it. There's no running of virus scans or anything like that of software that you're purchasing, usually from a vendor that you trust, right? And so you won't know as a company that this particular piece of software once installed had this particular piece of malware on it until you start getting pings or hits or whatever that your systems are now infected with this malware. And then you're trying to do a root cause and trying to determine where in the world did this actual um, piece of malware come from. And then it becomes, oh, we find out it comes from a software provider, and then all the other stuff, the drama that comes with that, and SLAs and contracts, the lawyers get involved and things like that. So it's really interesting. I mean, as I think about the things that I've done in my past, we don't usually, cyber defenders don't have access or visibility into the software or IT purchasing process to a point where we would even know that this vendor is being attacked or it has been breached, or there's malware on this particular piece of software, until the bell started chirping around, and things are infected. So I think that that's being aware of this type of warning by the FBI should allow organizations to now look at their supply chain and where they're getting their software. I mean, especially software that's actually developed for you, right? And if you have a special piece of software that's being developed for you, that seems like, that could be readily or maybe easily um, broken into or hacked or however manipulated if that vendor is compromised more so than something like Microsoft Office or something like that, that you're installing on your system. So you want to be mindful of that. I think that definitely, as I think about it, scanning the actual updates that come with the software now is also one of those things that I'm like, okay, well, they can actually get into and in fact, with a piece of malware, the update that you're now updating from this particular vendor. So you having that relationship with your vendors and that awareness to be able to say, hey, you guys are under attack, right? What are you doing as a vendor to ensure that your software, or the way your software is created or coded, is following a secure process, right? Because usually you'll see that IT folks and security providers don't necessarily practice what they preach. There may be a little bit of arrogance there that, oh, I'm putting this together, I know better than you, business. So, let me do my thing. And they take, for granted the best practices of secure coding, or they take for granted that, they won't be attacked, or they won't fall for, a scheme that's attacking them. And, that's not true. And so you want to make sure that you have a good idea of your third party providers, and especially when you, like I said, when you know that there are warnings out there, and they're warning, especially from the FBI, that these supply chain software providers are under attack, that you be mindful of that, and you actually just ask questions. It really isn't a matter of, going in and beating people over the head. It's just, asking, basic risk assessment questions from a third party provider of, what their process is like. So hopefully you guys got some good information out of there, and stay tuned for our random thought. Thank you so much. Bye. Does your organization have written cybersecurity policies and procedures? If not, you may want to take a look at the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas Policy Starter Pack. We may have some things out there that may interest you and your organization. One of the most interesting things that I found out when transitioning from the government to private industry is that a lot of organizations just don't write down what their policies and procedures are. And then when there's some type of incident, they have a hard time proving that they were being reasonable in their approach. So please take a look at our starter pack, and if there's anything we can help you with, let us know. Hey everyone, so random thought for today, and another FBI, or well, actually, Department of Justice random thought. So if you saw the news here this week or last week, I can't remember if it was late last week or early this week, that the DLJ charged China, or some Chinese hackers, with the Equifax issue that breach that happened. And okay, so I'm backwards, going back and forth in my head about this because, of course, I being understanding as a defender what organizations or what state sponsors activities happen. Um, China stealing, half of the United States country. I'm sorry, half of the country's information, private information, to do what? I'm okay. So usually, and this is general, just me speaking general, just based on what I've known about, or what I've investigated, or what I've read, or what I've learned about different state sponsored activities, the motivations of someone that's looking to um, steal data from a identity theft perspective is different than intellectual property. And normally I put China in the stealing of IP or intellectual property category more than I put them in the identity theft category. Usually you have attackers that want to monetize your personal information. So when I thought about, what I read from the Department of Justice press release, I was saying, well, okay, however, it's usually not the motive of China to steal identities. That's usually not what they do. And however, there was like one line in the press release that talked about intellectual property and stealing or learning the process. And that makes that makes a lot more sense to me in regards to learning process and stealing intellectual property to replicate it in order to compete. Because when you think about what China does, literally, well, no, I'm sorry, generally, sorry, not literally, generally, it is they want to compete in the market. They want to essentially steal intellectual property to compete with whether it be the United States, whatever entity that they're trying to compete with. So if they wanted to create a credit reporting service to compete with Equifax, it would make sense to me that they would log in or try to hack into Equifax to learn and steal that process of how credit ratings work or something like that. More so than it would be to take all of the half of American citizens' data to be used in another way. Does that make sense? And it's generalities. When I read it, I was just like, yeah, that doesn't really ring true to me. And I'm not saying that these smart investigators are wrong. Again, we're talking about the FBI, and as a former agent, I'm automatically going to assume everything is on the up and up. But the explanation that was given in regards to why they thought it was these Chinese hackers just didn't ring true to me based on experience. So I don't have to agree with everything, and I rarely ever agree with everything that's coming out of anybody's mouth, let alone some of the things that have come out currently about the DOJ and their leader. But in any event, just wanted to that's just Mary's little random thought for today, my random rambling. So thanks again for listening to the blog. Talk soon. Guys, thanks again for listening to the Breach Whisperer blog, sponsored by the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas. Don't forget to like this post and subscribe to our channel so you can get updates of when we post new things on our channel. In addition, spread the word for me, right? Let's get out there and tell a friend, and so they can all become paranoid cybersecurity and privacy people. Don't forget, if you would like to connect with me on socials, you can connect with me on Twitter. At Mary N. Cheney. Use my middle initial always. For my nonprofit, Minorities in Cybersecurity, that is at Mike Leadership, and Instagram and Facebook at MN Cheney Law. And you can find me on LinkedIn just by searching for my name. So if you're interested, connect with me. Thanks again. And just remember, awareness equals knowledge.